All right. People are coming in. We are now broadcasting. Hello. Welcome everybody to our what number of session is this? Let's see. 3, 4, 5. This is the fifth session now of sales workshop. We have still probably like five more to go too. Which is crazy, but you might see a new face in here now. We have Becky from our team. Becky, say hello.
Hello, everyone. So excited and pumped to be here.
Yes, I had to bring her in because you've been seeing Bonnie, but Bonnie had she couldn't make this session, so I was like, "Becky, come join us just in case." We need somebody in the back just to make sure we can get your questions answered if you have them, and then also make sure, like, if something happens, we have a backup. But there is a face you will not see on here today. Well, you will, but not live, Rita. So, unfortunately, Rita is in Orlando, and with all of the hurricane, we were thinking of you all. Becky's actually in Florida as well.
Yep.
Um, so it's we're thinking of all of you, and Rita's good. She's just really busy preparing and everything. So she actually got ahead of the game and recorded the other day. And so I'm going to play the recording for you today. She might pop into our chat live. We're going to see. We'll watch for her. But otherwise, she says this in the video that she recorded, that you will be able to send her questions, email them. But then also, I don't know if we'll be able to help answer them, but Becky and I can try, but we'll definitely be able to show you how to get those to Rita as well. So we're really sad she's not here live, but an awesome session, and cannot wait. But I'll formally introduce her in just a second. But before we dive further, I do just want to share a couple more slides because if this is your first session, you're joining us. So we started sales workshop yesterday. It's a 3-day event, full packed, jam packed of sessions galore, all about different ways that you can grow your business with sales. This one in particular, we're going to talk a little bit more about, like, how do you grow your reach and network, do all that kind of stuff. Which, if you joined us on the session prior to this, with Vanessa McGovern, she actually kind of talked on this. And I've been seeing this as a theme and pattern with all of our sessions. Every time they kind of leave us with something, and then the next session, like, goes more into it. So it's really working out well, I have to say. But all these sessions, though, are available right in the sales workshop landing page. So this is where you would have went to register for this session. But in here, you're going to see all the recordings, because we get it. Maybe you can join us for all of them, but also we understand you get client calls, something comes up and you have to miss it. But we have all of them recorded, and you'll be able to watch all of them pretty quickly after. So once the session wraps up, just give it about 45 minutes or so, and then it'll be available on here for you to go back and check out. So they are all on there, which is great. And then the other thing that I want to note is we still have a couple more sessions coming up after this one that I'll share again at the end. But we do have one more big session with Glenda Beagle after this, which I can't wait. Glenda is awesome. She did a session last year, and we had to bring her back because she just talks a lot about how to have that mindset, the sales mindset, and she just really takes real life scenarios and things that you've probably encountered and how to overcome those. So I'm really excited for that one. But then we're crunching in a little bit of a bonus at the end of today for just 30 minutes. We're gonna take. We're bringing in Kyle from the Travify product team, and I'm pulling him into a webinar. 'Cause I'm like, Kyle, you got to show people what's coming because there's a lot. Becky even knows she's seen some stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff coming. So
Exciting things. You don't want to miss that one either.
yeah, you don't wanna miss. It's gonna be really good. So we have so much, left today, which is going to be really exciting. But like I said, these are all being recorded. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is if you do have any questions, again, Rita might be joining us in the chat. We're gonna watch for her to come in, and you might see her start to message people. So feel free, put in your questions, but I will also drop in Rita's email in here as well. So that way you know how to get a hold of her with those questions as well. So This is, just the things sometimes that happens, but this is our first like recording like this. So this, I'm going to go ahead and play this. Now I know that the recording is about 45 minutes, so I'm gonna play it. And then again at the end, Becky and I are gonna be in that chat and Q&A, grabbing stuff. If there's anything we can help answer, we will do that at the end as well. But without further ado, I am going to share this. I'm going to change my screen here and I'm going to share a video file that Rita has sent us. And Rita, by the way, well, she'll introduce herself as well, but she's amazing. We've done other sessions with Rita, and she started, as a travel advisor, still has her travel advisor business, and she started doing like group trips, a lot of sailing stuff. But then she also started opening up and working a lot with advisors. So that's why it's really cool to have her expertise coming in. That she actually does have a travel business, but she also does a lot of things to help the industry and travel advisors grow in the community. So you'll see that in here. So I am going to let Rita talk now. So we're going to play this.
Hi, Travify friends. Thank you so much for having me at Sales Workshop this year. I'm so sorry I can't be with you there live, but we have a little big thing coming along here in Central Florida. So I thought the best way to get out my message about networking to you was going to be to pre-record me. So please send us all in Florida all the best well wishes, thoughts, and prayers as we deal with this little, I don't even want to name him, but this little storm that is coming our way, and that we all stay safe. So, but without further ado, let's go on and start chatting about networking, which is one of my favorite topics to start talking about. Now, I will give you like a little caveat. This was not my favorite topic. And I will say that it wasn't until, funny enough, 2020 that I really started getting in the groove of networking. And so this is kind of a little bit about my story and how I've really used networking to expand my travel business reach. So let's get a little comfy together. A little bit of story time. Back February of 2020. Actually, even before February 2020, I would say fall of 2019, I was like, I have got to do business differently if I want to produce different results in my business. Something that I had not focused on, because at the time I was focused on social media, I was focused on email marketing, and I was doing all the things that everybody tells you to do, right? But nobody was really mentioning that you can't get people on your email list and you can't get people following you on social media until you have people. And I am single female. I'm not married. I do not have any children. So I don't have like that immediate network of kind of what comes like if you are on the PTA or if you have kids or if you have a spouse or anything like that. So I needed to make a network happen for me, because especially if people were going to ask me who I could refer to them if they like needed a business contact, I did not have an answer to tell them because I did not really have that extensive of a network. So at the end of 2019, I was like, okay, we're gonna do some more networking. So I attended my first networking event with other business owners because I went in with the intention, I was focusing on cruise ship retreats. I was focusing on business owners and team leaders. So those are the types of networking events that I wanted to attend in my local area. So with that in mind, I attended a NABO event about speaking for client attraction. NABO, if you didn't know, is the National Association of Women Business Owners. That, even it only being one event, kind of changed the trajectory for me, because the speaker, who happens to be Mary Kravitz, I've actually had her on a podcast, and I see her doing things here and there to help business owners. But she was doing so much that summer of 2020 that going to that one event was invaluable to the trajectory. So you just never know how an event or an interaction or a person can change what's happening or what can happen within your business. So she hosted that summer of training on virtual networking because we weren't meeting in person back then, right? And so the rest of 2020, I attended lots of different, and I also hosted different virtual networking sessions via Zoom here, where it would typically be myself and two other business owners. We each do like a quick little chat about what we were doing and do a quick little ask also about like what we were needing in our business so that we could connect and network that way. And so many connections were made, like either as referral partners or just business buddies. It was a really great way not only to increase my business reach, but also to get comfortable with networking. Because I remember on the first couple of networking calls that I had, And you may have heard this on the podcast. I am like the queen of stress sweat. That still happens even 4 years later. I don't think that that's like getting the nerves or jitters about meeting somebody and communicating with somebody. I don't think that those will entirely go away, but it does get better the more that I'm out there and put myself out and about. So it does get easier. In 2021, you can see there was a bold new Rita coming out and ready to do it. Like I was communicating with people about potential cruise summit types of ideas. And I had also started the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast, which really helped to increase and propel my network. So I've mentioned the podcast a couple times. If you are new around here, my name is Rita M. Perez. Hello, it's amazing to meet you. I've been in the travel industry since 2010. I did start out on the travel advisor side. And I still do a couple things on that side, but I do a lot more in terms of education and mentorship now. You may recognize my voice from the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast, of which Stephanie was a recent guest. Super duper excited for that. But that's just a couple things about me if you're new. And before we dive in, one, I want to let you know if you need to kind of like take any screenshots of anything, totally go for it if that's a little bit easier for you as opposed to taking notes. And then two, I typically talk about things from a marketing reference. So I like to reference what I call the marketing matrix. You may have heard it called a couple different things, but we have to start with meet. Typically, other people call this attract. If you're new to me, you know I don't like the word attract because attract is very passive to me. Like if we are thinking about dating, and if you were trying to look for a spouse, you're just not going to sit at home and be like, oh, I wish my spouse could get here right now. No, you're going to do things to get out there, whether that's being on a dating app, whether that's just going to different local events. You're going to be going out there so that you can meet people. The same kind of mentality has to happen when you are in business for yourself. And if you can't like physically go out and meet people, not saying that there's like business apps out there, but there are ways to communicate with other business owners and other people of influence that could be helpful for your business reach and also just in networking for general. So this is what we're going to be talking about in this like topic of discussion, because there's also Connect. I consider email and social media part of Connect and reconnecting, whereas converting is really your client experience. So networking and high ticket sales go hand in hand. I consider travel a high ticket sale. There has to be some sort of business relationship for the most part. Of course, there's always like the one oddball here or there. And I want you to like differentiate between a house sale and going to get gas. It's two different things. I don't need to have a relationship with the gas store owner because I need gas. That's what it's going to cost me like $40 to fill up my tank. I don't need to like know somebody on a personal level. I know I need gas. I'm going to go get gas. Same thing like if I need to go grocery store, I don't need to know the owner. It would be nice maybe if I knew the owner of the grocery store, but I don't need to know them necessarily. Similarly, in travel, depending on how you're nurturing people, you don't necessarily need to have a relationship, but for people who are very much interested in investing thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars, they need to know that you are a responsible person to be giving all this important financial information to. And not only that, to like entrust you with what their own vision of travel is. So that's why I say they go hand in hand. Like you'll always see, I think like financial planning is another one where there's certain businesses that are relationship based because somebody has to get to know you. Somebody has to know that you understand what you are talking about, that you are the expert, but you also understand what my needs are as the consumer as well. So there is not really any way to avoid high ticket sales, especially if you aren't wanting to be like pumping sale after sale after sale after sale. Meaning like hustling is where I'm going with that. Now, I will say there is a time and place for hustling. We'll address that a little bit later. Networking is definitely a proactive approach. We are not waiting for things to happen in our business. We are making them happen. Now, saying that as well, networking is a long game. And if like the term networking is kind of like nails on a chalkboard to you, I just want you to think about networking as making friends in the business world. Because that's really what it is that you are getting to know other people, seeing what they do, seeing if this is somebody that you would want to do business with. maybe collaborate with. And if not, you're able to also just keep them in your back pocket. Like there's a lot of service providers that are local to me. Like I'm thinking plumbers, HVAC, roofers that I might not need them, but I will always hear somebody saying like, oh, this happened, like a mechanic. My car broke down. I need a mechanic. I know somebody who I can refer. And that is an amazing feeling to be able to have somebody in your back pocket. So networking, I need you to also think of that it's not just for you, it's also what you can do to help the other people that are in the network that you are building. So networking is a couple of different things to me. It's how you meet ideal clients. You can't have a business unless you're out and about and people know that you are out and about. And out and about can mean a couple different things. I'm going to be touching more on in-person opportunities than virtual, but I have done a lot of virtual opportunities that have gotten me out and about. Actually, if we're going like really meta with this is kind of a virtual networking opportunity where I am presenting a webinar and you may not have heard of me. Some of you may have heard of me, but it's, hi, I'm getting out there in your face, providing you useful information. So how can like you reverse engineer that for your own business? Where are places, like if we're really like being tactical and thinking about it, can you host a masterclass on something that you are a master at within your own travel business and getting people there to like really hone in on the message that you are trying to share? Networking is not just about like the clients, the one-on-one transaction. It really is a long game. You have to build relationships, and relationships come in a lot of different flavors. It can come in the client relationship. It can come in the collaborator. So if you want to do like a joint venture partnership with another business owner, it can also come in the form of your support system. So your business BFFs whom maybe you are not doing business with each other, but you can refer business to each other. And then they're also that go-to person like, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with this situation in my business. Those are the people that you can lean on for support. And then I always like to say too, networking can help you to find referral partners where you may not do direct business with them, but you might be like in the same line of work that you can say, okay, they're looking for an Ireland DMC or they're looking for a hotel rep company. And if you have that in your arsenal, you can go ahead and share that around. Networking is how people find you. So again, making friends is how you can make friends, getting out there, being visible, being available. This is how people can find you because yes, there's search engine optimization, but I feel like being able to cultivate a relationship in person is kind of the fast pass that the virtual world just can't provide. Meaning, I'm a member of my local Rotary chapter. I know a car mechanic. I've never seen his website, never been on his social media. I don't need to go to those places to know that he's a good guy, to know that he knows what he's talking about cars. If I need anything with my car, I will go to his business and have my car serviced through that business. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you are cultivating relationships offline, in person, you get to know people on a different level. Sometimes it can be like, oh, I think like the vibes are really great with this person, that you don't need to do further research, that you just inherently trust them because you have some sort of personal relationship. So that's where I'm saying that it's different and it can be a long game, but it can also be a more powerful game, quote unquote, when you're meeting somebody and cultivating that relationship, because you don't have to like go through 50 posts to be like, I think I like this person or not. And then networking is also a place where you can be seen. And the more that you are seen, the more you stay top of mind on to people, to prospective clients and referral partners. And that's why it's important to also keep doing it. And now I know there's always like valleys and peaks where you might be like, I'm going to go networking in this quarter, but maybe next quarter you don't go networking because you're doing a lot of client work. And that's totally fine. I just need you to know their networking should not stop happening. Like I myself recently have run, or I've kind of found myself that while I have been doing really great networking in the beginning, I haven't like really, and while I am constantly meeting people, I need to be a little bit more intentional and kind of have seasons where, okay, I'm focused on meeting new and different people within my industry. So that's something that you also need to be cognizant of. If even if you've laid the groundwork, it's never too late to kind of like start picking back up on networking. It's never a bad thing. Like if somebody was going to say, should I keep meeting people? My answer is going to be, of course, yes. Your business doesn't exist if people don't know that you have a business. I think that's the first and foremost thing. Like when I was trying to figure out full-time life while working a travel agency, I was like, well, my friends and family are surely going to spread the word of my business with their friends and family. That did not happen. And so you have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, especially when things are reliant on you to do things differently than what you've done before. So if you've been frustrated because you don't have a lot of clients, there's a couple things that you can do to kind of pinpoint it. But I would reckon to say that one of the biggest things is that you just need to meet more people, and not saying that that's immediately going to make conversions happen for your business, but it can spark an idea of maybe somebody that you meet at a networking event. They don't need your services, but they know somebody that would. That has happened so many. I can't tell you how many times that has happened, that it's not an immediate here, but maybe like a month down the line, or a connection happens. It is just like, you just don't know what's going to happen, but you have to be open to meeting new people and getting out of your comfort zone. As an introvert, I highly relate to that. I mean, we just talked about stress sweat. So like, we're really buddy, we're really buddy now. So there are a couple things that you should be mindful of before you start networking, to like really get your head in the right place. Because I don't think it's enough for me to say it's important to network because you get your business out there. That's what will happen when you start networking. But I also want you to see that it's not just for you. It is and can be super fun to meet other people. And I think like that's why I thrive off of networking now. And this is also not to say that after an event, I'm not like, oh, okay, did that, because I am very much that person. I get energy when I'm away from the people, not when not when I'm with the people. So, and please do not take any offense. That's just my introverted nature. I know when to be on, I know when to be off. And so let's get you a little bit in the mindset of networking, because relationships really need to begin with service in mind. You can't like, if you are scared of being salesy, this is why you're being scared of being scared. This is why you're scared of being salesy. It's because you're probably scared of being that sleazy car dealer that we all know, we've probably experienced and been to. And you have to come through this with thinking that you are trying to build a relationship. What are some of the things that can be built? It's not that you're immediately asking for a sale. How can we collaborate together? Who do you think I should be in front of? Are there any organizations locally that you think might benefit from this type of travel that I serve? Do the thing scared. Sometimes doing the scary thing is the one that propels us to the next level where we need to be. And that could be one of the things that may be holding you back as well within your business as well. I will say from my own personal experience, I have both a mix of fear of failure, like what if this doesn't work out? And then also, but what if it does? What do I do there? And that's why you need to do this with intention and with planning. And it's okay that it is scary. It's going to be scary. And maybe like every new opportunity or something different might be a little bit nerve-wracking to you. But what's the quote? Nothing that came easy came from your comfort zone, something to that effect. Also, don't be afraid to just shoot your shot. If you have been thinking like, oh, I should really have this kind of a group, like I should really talk to this group leader that specializes in succulents, and see if they might want to do a trip to the succulent capital of the world, which I don't know what that is, but there are different events, because that's how one of my travel ideas got started, is that I was dealing with a lot of health problems. There was a health summit that happened. I reached out to the person that ran that event and said, hey, I'm in the travel industry and I have this idea, since we're so special, like with what complications and symptoms that we're dealing with. I was thinking about maybe like putting a group together that would benefit from like a trip where they didn't have to worry about certain of the health things that we have to worry about. And she instantly ate the idea up. And we had been talking about that idea for quite some time, because I came from the angle that it was going to be of benefit to them. And opportunities don't just happen like on your lap. I wish they did. Sometimes they can tend to feel like that. And sometimes it tends to, like, if we're doing the comparisonitis game, like, how did that person get that? There's usually a lot of hard work in the background that happens when these lucky situations seem to have popped up here and there. And then again, like really thinking from the brain of what can I create that will benefit the many, not myself, service first, of course. And you also have to think about networking, that you still have to get paid. And the easiest way to get paid is to open your mouth. And I mean, having a conversation. A conversation is the quickest way to build a relationship, but then also to ask for a sale. So, or ask for some ideas of collaborations and things like that. The quickest way, it's not sending another email, it's not doing another post, it's getting in touch with somebody that you have a relationship with. I mean, those things can work, but really, in my history of doing business, it's always having word of mouth has been somewhere in that effect. Being of service. So you can't help somebody else. If somebody comes to you saying, I need to work with an email marketing specialist, if you don't know an email marketing specialist, then you can't be of service. So really, and if you're not even thinking about this as a friendship way, this is a collect business contacts. Like we're thinking trading cards, baseball cards. What kinds of service professionals should I know and have under my tool belt so that we can refer business to each other? That was my biggest problem, is that when I first started networking, people would ask me if I knew somebody that did this or that did that. And I couldn't say anything because I hadn't built up my network to have those types of people. So you need to have your little collector cards, your little MVPs here and there in the background, but you can't do that if you're just working by yourself, silently praying and waiting for things to happen. You have to go make them happen. This means you do need to have like a little black book of referral partners. So aim to be the master connector, not somebody who is trying to make lots of money in business. That is a side effect of being a master connector and also being intentional with where you are going. Also, kind of reiterating, service above self. Now, preparing to network, I'm a big proponent, just do it messy. Like, go Google now what networking events are local to you. Find one that kind of speaks to you that you might feel a little bit more comfortable with, and commit yourself to attending that meeting. You might not have business cards ready, but if you can swap email addresses or get on each other's LinkedIn as LinkedIn connections, that is the bare minimum. This does not have to be anything sort of collaborative or not collaborative. This does not have to be anything sort of in depth. You just need to get out and do it. And I don't want any barriers standing in your way from you going to meet what could potentially be this beautiful business relationship that you can create with multiple people. Second, I want you to also start thinking about who you are, what it is you do, and how you do it, because this makes it easier for you to figure out where you should be going to, what events you should be attending. Where do you people hang out? I like to say put on the blinders, and that's how you'll be able to put on the blinders, is by knowing some of these specific questions. So first, if you have not networked in a long time, we're not going to worry about some of these questions. Like, I just want you to find an event in Google after this session and figure out in the month of October, what is the one networking event that you are going to attend. After you've done it, I want you to do an internal review. How did it go? How did you feel? Are these the right types of people? Did you think they were the right types of people? And something kind of was like, didn't feel right. And that's where some of these questions can come into play, where you can hone in how you can improve for the next event that you will attend. What's your message? You may not have any sort of messaging for your travel business now, other than I just started a travel agency, or I've had my travel agency for 5 years and we specialize in cruises. It is through time, both in you working with clients and you meeting people out in the wild, that you're going to be able to hone in on the messaging. And again, like, the more that you meet with different people, you're going to pick up on the words that they describe their pain points, their dreams when it comes to travel, that you're going to be able to use some of those phrases, some of those terminologies that they're using. So the next time you meet people like them, you can form an instant connection because you're using terminology that they identify with. And then also thinking about, what will you be promoting, if anything? There might not even be an opportunity to promote. It's strictly just getting to know people. And that is okay too. Like, this gives you practice to being more comfortable to building your business reach. Confidence comes with time. I promise you, the more that you do it, the more confident that you're going to feel. Not saying that it's not going to be a little bit nervous before the event or anything, because I just attended a Rotary event. Was it last week? Where I was like very much like, I don't know anybody that's here. And it wasn't until someone like did a little bit of outreach first. And if you're not that person, just be confident and comfortable coming out of your shell and just a little bit, maybe making just a random what is the word, compliment on somebody, and the conversation can really spark from there too. So what are the different types of networking events that you can really attend to get yourself out there? Because again, I don't see networking strictly as a business thing. Like you can meet all sorts of people at any types of events. So I'm thinking there, yes, there are strictly networking events. There's also community events. So what's happening locally to you. There's also social events, things that you have a common bond over. And then there's educational events. I'm thinking like industry-wide types of educational events that you can meet people who you need to be in the right rooms with. So when we talk about networking, you're going to see a little bit here. There's some dollar signs. So I put like some dollar signs next to things that might have a cost. If there's not a dollar sign there, probably might not have a cost. So the first one, Business Network International. I know many travel advisors are part of their local BNI chapter. I attempted BNI, wasn't really a fit for me, but I know other travel advisors that have had huge success with BNI. So that may be one of the avenues for you. You could also be a vendor at a booth. We are in the middle of fall festival season. There's going to be all sorts of events that are happening. And there's also going to be lots of networking events that are happening now because especially after what tends to be a slower summer season because everybody is out exploring, they've got vacations going on, they're now coming back, they're putting the business hat on. So what kinds of events that maybe you're not going to network at, but you're going to host a booth, a small little booth to promote your travel business? Are there local events? I know there's the Small Business Expo here in Central Florida, but I know that they also have different branches within the country as well. Maybe it is meeting with potential joint venture partnerships. So I know wine cruises are a huge thing, especially if you specialize in river cruises. So what sorts of wine shops, wineries, wine bars can you connect with and like get to know the owner a little bit? Remember, like we're thinking about that dating analogy again. So you can't just be immediately like, hey, do you want to do business with me? You have to show and like prove that you are what you say that you are. So be interested in what they're doing, patronize their business so that you stand out a little bit. So when your idea of a potential sale comes or a potential collaboration comes, it's just a natural no-brainer for them to be like, yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more information on that. Ask your network, which is part of why building a network, building business friendships is super important. So if you ever have a stump or a question that might be happening in your business, you have people that you can rely on to be like, where are some of the best places that you have met other people for X, Y, and Z? There's also networking groups. And I know there's been networking groups virtually. Like there's a fun one that I participate with one of my business friends. It is free, but I know that there's also some networking groups that are paid because I know there's somebody else that runs like a paid, I think you pay like maybe $50 a month and you get like 4 networking calls, which is really like 10 plus ish dollars to attend each of the networking events. So I think like that's a really great opportunity. You can find some of these opportunities on LinkedIn if you're not already active on LinkedIn. And then if you can't find anything or if it's hard for you to attend things, why don't you host your own virtual networking events where you, maybe another or 2 other business owners get together for 15 minutes, discuss what's happening in your businesses and what would be really great referrals for you as well. When we think about the community, here's where I come back to Rotary International. I was actually a member of Rotary even before I knew it. Back in high school, I was the chapter president of my local Interact club, I think for 2 years. It's been quite a long time since I've been there, but that is a paid opportunity. And Rotary is service first. So you have to come at a lot of these community service organizations, not with thinking that you're going to do business, but how can I help other people in the community? Which means as a byproduct, you're going to meet lots of people in the community, which as a byproduct means that you're going to have some sort of communication, conversation about what you do within your business. So you have to think of this. There's a couple different layers. It's not intentionally or it's not directly, I do this is going to happen. No, we gotta think about this a little bit out of the box. So are there different community organizations that you can volunteer with? Because a lot of people who do volunteer means that they have free time. They have time to be of service to other things, not just that they are solely surviving. People who have, and I think about this, that people who have free time typically have the income needed, or at least the contacts needed to go on vacation, or they know people who might want to go on vacation. So again, thinking about like secondary and tertiary ways of meeting people. So is there a local homeless shelter that you can help clean up? I remember I used to do Halloween parties when I was in high school at the local homeless shelters. There's also the food banks. I know the local one to me will frequently do where they need food sorting to be happening. So could you attend one of those events and see who you can meet at that? Lions International is very similar to Rotary. So Rotary is a community community service organization first, but a lot of business owners and executives are members of these types of organizations, and they do have costs as like dues for these organizations. There's also the different walks that happen. So I know locally here there was a heart walk, and there's also like different vendor booths. So maybe you might not be patronizing one of the vendors, but how can you just get in contact, like get their contact information, and maybe do like set up a coffee chat for later about what they do and maybe how you can collaborate with each other. Also, charity events, especially if you're looking for people that have some disposable income, they love to spend money at charity events. So I know here we have like wine events, there's fashion shows. I also added golf tournaments is another really great way to connect with people with that disposable income or the discretionary income. Then charity groups. I used to do a lot with my local Relay for Life group, and that is how I met movers and shakers that were necessary. Like this is like you have to be out and about, and your face has to be out and about there. So what are some of the community organizations that do some service work that you can also be a part of? Then socially. So here's where I say you can meet people on social media. You just have to do it with a certain intention. None of like, you're not going to see anywhere here about making a post. This is really leveraging OPP, other people's, or OPA, other people's audiences. I was like, wait. So social media, when we're thinking about Facebook groups, you might not be the group leader, but you have important things to contribute to the group. And this can be a local crafting group. This can be a local health group. Like I have a lot of health things in my background, so I am wanting to learn everything that's possible to help the situation out. Engage with other people. If it is your social media channels, go live. Go live with somebody else so that you're also in front of their audience. Create certain videos. I know use and follow hashtags is a little bit outdated as SEO on social media really hypes up with keywords, but I still think that it is relevant because people can still find you and you can still find relevant information by using that. You can also find things if you're just being hyper specific with your keywords in search now as well. IRL, in real life. So socially, what are some of the things that you might have a common thread with other people? This could be church. I have a couple of different activities at the bottom. Sports and recreation. Is this artists? Is this planning, parents, crafts? How can you be social and what kinds of social groups are getting together? This is where looking up not only on Google, but Eventbrite and Meetup are going to be your BFFs so that you can find out what is happening in the local area. I love, like recently there were a couple of crafty things that have popped up in my Facebook feed, but they've only popped up because people in my network have started liking or sharing them. So that is what I appreciate about social media. This is also what I like about LinkedIn is that you don't have to be connected to somebody, but if somebody in your network interacts with something, I have found podcasting events. I have found Latina marketing events in my local area because of the connections that I've made on LinkedIn. And those are all different places where I can meet other people who have similar common interests to myself. And that might be really great people to have just in my back pocket for my business. And then educational, this is a loaded one. I've got lots of ideas here for you. So being that vendor at a vendor event and an educational event. So remember, I mentioned that I was specializing in cruise retreats. For me, this meant I wanted to be wherever some team leaders are. Team leaders typically have to deal with human resources. So are there any human resources that are local to me? And yes, there are. There's also national human resources organizations that have events that are local to me. So how can you get involved? Could you be a speaker? Could you just be an attendee and meet people that way? Could you even be a volunteer for some of these events? Those are a couple of different ways to meet people at educational events. Then we go to other national organizations. I had mentioned NABO. I know there is also SCORE. SCORE might be where you have a local chapter. I know NABO has local chapters. SCORE also has local chapters, and they are meant to help business owners. So this can be like where you're attending local events as just a newbie business owner and getting advice from other people as well. Or they have meetings with a certain speaker, special topic that's come up. This could also be through a media article or interview. It is going to be super helpful. Now, I have Haro here. Haro has now changed. It's something different. It's not help a reporter out because I think it's Cision or Cision. I forget how you say it, but they've bought out that you can still help a reporter out. But even more than kind of getting in these directories is making connections with media people, whether they're in your industry. And when I say industry, I think of if you help with families, who are some family industry experts. So this could be doctors, this could be educators, this could be behavioral type of people. So what are things in your specific industry? There's definitely going to be some sort of publications. I mean, when you think of publications in the travel industry, we have things like Travel Weekly, Travel Market Report, I think it's Travel Insider, Travel Pulse. There's so many publications. So how can you connect with media people from those publications and create some sort of relationship with them to help increase the visibility of your business? This can also be like, are you reaching out to local reporters to be known as kind of like your local travel expert? Maybe instead of you attending certain things, you are putting things on. So are you putting on some sort of virtual summit? Maybe it is the Mommy's First Time Traveling with the Kids by Herself Summit or something to that effect. Hopefully you can kind of catch my drift. It has to be very specific because it needs to solve a specific pain point. Maybe this is, oh, I don't want to spoil too much, but in my event that we're having next week, Prep for Wave Week, we're talking about this, about hosting a masterclass specific to your niche that solves a problem, gets you in front of new audiences, has you networking with them, and then also builds your travel business reach and hopefully your travel business income potential. See, OPP. I said that. Okay. I forgot the word. Other people's platforms. So another way I mentioned to engage with different reporters, other people that would be really great to engage with is people that have shows of some sort. So whether this is like a social media live group, if this is podcasting, that is a really great way to network. That's kind of like how I've been able to meet so many people within the industry is I have my own platform. I invite them to come speak on my platform. So do you have a platform? Is that something that you're able to? Because I know that is a big time commitment. Is that something that you're able to do? Maybe it's a monthly live. I know Shannon Cunningham with Gifted Travel Network, when she had her travel agency, used to host, I think these were like romance lives or something like that. And she would have supplier partners with her and they would just talk because she was a romance travel specialist and they would talk about all different topics relating to that. I think like she had a robe on for once, so they made like a romantic meal via the live once. So how can you get creative with either the industry that you serve or the people that you serve or the destination that you specialize in to really get yourself out there and doing things in a way that maybe not your other travel advisor might be doing? Going to local classes. I attended. So if you're in Orlando, Florida, if you self-travel to Orlando, Florida, there's this place called Abstract Orlando, and it's like one of those paint pouring places. I had a blast there. Now, granted, there weren't too many people at that class specifically, but can you imagine like if especially if you have clients going to different places, like those are just great contacts to have, or wine tasting, cooking, crafting, golfing, anything like that to have under your belt as like really great contacts, not only for your travel business, but as like referral partners for your travel business. So what are some things locally where you might be able to bring up like your domestic contacts, but then also just see like what kinds of things that you can collaborate on travel wise. And then last but not least, it kind of goes with that virtual summit idea, hosting some sort of webinar. And then, so you've gotten plenty of ideas now of different events that you can go to, different organizations that you can become a part of to really increase your network. So what are you supposed to do at these events? Not hide in a corner. I have been guilty of doing this myself, but you've got to like little by little. And sometimes it is hard when lots of people are having conversations already to like just step in on a conversation. So I also encourage you, if you are the extrovert and you see somebody trying to like make their way in or not able to like start up a conversation, invite them to the group, invite them to the conversation so that everybody feels like they're a part of it. If you are like a little introverted me, you have to build up a little bit of courage and see what kind of friendly faces are. I think like that's the worst and like the easiest way to get yourself out. But it's also a great way to find out what events are for you or not for you is if you go to an event and if you don't feel welcomed, that is like the worst feeling. So that's why I say like, please go in with an attitude that everybody is here to support everybody else. And there really should be this positive engagement to get to know each other. And if there's not, it might not be the right event. But come in with a curiousness, a curiosity about who these people are at these events. You chose this event for a specific reason. Even if the reason is Rita told me I needed to go to a networking event to meet other people, I want you to meet one contact. I'm going to make this super easy for you. Just meet one contact and bring or grab their contact information and follow up because chances are You're not going to be learning their whole life story at this event because you're also going to be conversing with other people, but you want to keep their contact information so that you can stay in touch after the event ready. Have some questions ready. If it is not natural for you to start a conversation, what are some conversations or what are some questions that you can ask to other people? I know some of the easy ones are like, how long have you been in business? What is it that you do? Who are you looking to meet? Those are kind of like some standard questions that might open up the floor to more conversation. And then I don't want to go too much into at the event because we did a lot of this, Stephanie and myself, at a recent podcast episode on the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast. It's episode 171, where we talk about trade show tips, which really goes well hand in hand because at trade shows, depending on what side you are, but really both sides, you are at this event to help build your business reach. So we've got tips both if you are going to an event or if you are going to be a vendor at an event, different things. Like we talk about business cards, QR codes, and even some questions to ask when you go to those trade shows and you're like, I'm not sure exactly what I'm supposed to do. So we have a lot of insights there about what's supposed to happen at the event. Then after the event, because it just doesn't end there, how are you keeping the information organized? Do you use a project management tool where you can have like a board that says different networking events, who you met, and kind of where you are at in the process of your relationship with them? Like, and I have developed a tool called the networking logbook, but you can do this in the project management tool where you can be like, okay, I really like this person. This is the type of person that they need to meet. I just met that type of person at this other event. It's kind of like after the event, there's a bunch of these puzzle pieces that are scattered and you've got to find a way for them to fit. And sometimes they don't fit. Like sometimes you'll meet people and you're like, what they do is cool, but not my vibe, not my style or whatnot. And that's just a consequence of going to events. Like sometimes you are going to vibe with somebody and they do become a best friend. And sometimes that is not going to happen, but you need to be open to it. And you also need to be tracking all of this so that you have data and information that you can make informed decisions within your business and not like, oh, well, I really felt like this, but is that actually what happened? Because let's say you were really nervous about some vendor event, but you brought in like 5 new sales from that vendor event. So it's scary, but it is fruitful. So you have to weigh the pros and the cons. Another way that you can keep up with people is by having folders in Gmail. Like maybe you have a general networking folder, and then you kind of have like subfolders with each person's name to stay in touch with them too. So a final reminder when we're thinking about networking, I talked about really being of service here. And that's really because you want to be referable. Nobody is going to refer you if you're closed off, if you're not friendly, if you don't seem helpful. So one of the things that can help you out with this is to be able to grow your network. The more people that you know, the more people that you're able to refer or make referrals to. That also means the less networking opportunities that you meet. Now, I also want you to look at that last point because you should always be visible regardless of your referrals, because there are some people who are at a point in their business that they are getting referrals up the wazoo, which is amazing. But I don't think you should ever not meet people within your business because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what kind of like what path you might be going down the next time that you go to an event, or maybe like a year, 2 years down the road. So remember to keep that in mind. This isn't a one and done. This is something that you're going to continuously do, and you're going to enjoy. I promise you, you're going to enjoy doing it, especially if you're going to the right types of events. Being referral also means that you are doing excellent work with the businesses that you are working with and that you're being an excellent human being. Remember how I was like, the hustle word. So there are times that you need to hustle. If your biggest problem right now in business is that you don't have enough of it to make the income that you want, you need to hustle your booty off in making contacts for your business. It will take some time, but you will reap the rewards. You just haven't met. There's a certain point where like you have enough and like things are happening, you're in your groove. But again, you can't like just completely not be networking at all at some point. It does make it easier if you're doing a lot of work and then gathering a lot of business, because really where I see people is that they don't have enough business or they have too much business to keep up. And when you have too much business to keep up, that's when some of the processes and systems that we just talked about is going to make it super easier to keep in mind. Oh my gosh, I haven't reached out to so-and-so in 6 months. I really need to do that. I want to keep up that relationship with them because they brought me 2 referrals or anything like that. So remember, it's not always hustling. There is a time, season, valleys and peaks for that. But there is a point that you will need to hustle to meet people to build up your network. I want you to take action. So go ahead, research 5 networking opportunities for Q4. Q4 goes all the way through December. There should be a plethora of opportunities happening right now because this is the biggest selling season for a lot of different industries. I want you to attend at least one event per month. And if it's easier to find virtual events, then do the virtual event. But I need you to have some networking action happening every single month, because if you are as committed to networking as you are to putting social media posts and emails out there, networking also needs to come, I would say, above that so that your emails and social media can work for you as well. And then follow up with the business contacts that you haven't, I feel like I just said that, haven't spoken to in 6+ months, because that's another way. That's, I think, what I love about LinkedIn is that if I can't have like a one-on-one conversation with somebody, at least I can go onto their LinkedIn and do like a little shout out or interact with some of their content to make the engagement a little bit easier for building and keeping up with that relationship. Thank you so much for being here, tuning in. I know that this was a chock-full loaded, I was going to say loaded episode, chock-full loaded masterclass. Again, I so wish that I could be here with you live, but we are dealing with a weather system right now. So if there were any questions that popped up, please do not hesitate to email me, rita@steeryourmarketing.com. I would love to assist kind of like working with you. And even if that's just like a pep talk to start networking, I am here for you. I'd also like to refer you to a couple different podcast episodes. Excuse me, episode 143 through 147 talk about how to find leads for your travel agency within a couple different niches. And then last but not least, if you are needing to get more support, you are having an amazing time. I bet, like, I'm not here because, hurricane stuff, but Travelify events are top notch, which means you are going to be getting a lot out of this event. If you want to couple this event with an event that I'm having next week called Prep for Wave Week to prepare your business for a new wave of business in 2025, then I happily invite you to join us by scanning that QR code and joining us at Prep for Wave Week next week. Like, really, you are getting the mecca of education to really build a solid foundation for your 2025 plan. 2025 planning starts now, meaning that if you are wanting to explode your business or stabilize your business, whatever you're doing now in Q4, you're going to reap those results in Q1 and Q2 of next year. So I just want you to think about that. And you can sign up if you aren't able to scan the QR code, prepforwaveweek.com/register. Travify is an amazing partner of Prep for Wave Week. And we even have Scott Rutz of the Travify team speaking on Sales Day. So that really is it for me. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this has boosted your confidence to build your network and also giving you lots of ideas on how you can really increase your business reach for your travel agency. Would love to chat off topic. Please send me all the well wishes as we have this big storm coming through. And I will see you at the next event, everyone. Bye.
Amazing. That was so good. That was
So
awesome.
good.
Here, I liked it. I'm gonna move back to her one slide just in case if anyone still needs to get that QR code, because Becky, you can tell us because you've been working with Rita on Wave Week too. So Scott's session, it's next week.
Yes, it's going to be next week, day 4, which is focusing on sales, and he's going to be presenting on innovative sales techniques, and he'll be showing you some tips on how to close deals and boost that revenue. So Scott's going to be presenting. He has an awesome presentation ready, so make sure to tune in for that too. But I love this presentation. I took notes. I was like, this is awesome. She just rocked it. So
It's I know it's so good. And I loved how she said the master connector, like the
yes.
master connector in this. Like, that is what this is. I love it because we are in the business. We're in the business of people, of like people travel, you're connecting what they like to do with other people. And so really awesome. And shout out again. I'm going to send Rita an email after this with all of the things that you all have, all the comments and everything, all the well wishes. But Satcha wasn't able to be here live, but this was so awesome. I threw in her email in the chat, so feel free to send her any messages. I know you can scan this QR code, get tons of stuff. I linked the podcast, Wave Week. So you'll probably be seeing Travify again next week during Wave Week with Rita and everything. So thank you so much again for joining us. But really quick, before I let you all go, I have a couple things just because we're not done with the day yet. We are, it's almost feels.
It seems like it's going to be done, but it's not. You have so much prepared. Like, it's such an awesome day too, jam-packed with things.
I know. It is really like, I think this is about halfway now. I pretty sure this
Have
is
like
we're
a
hitting
couple more,
halfway.
5 more.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? We have so much. So there is a lot coming ahead still, which is really exciting. But one thing I want to note too is keep the conversation going. You know, we hop off for an hour, but that doesn't mean you can't keep chatting. Is go hop into our Facebook group. So we have our Travify official group. Great place to connect with what Rita was just talking about, connecting, just connecting with everybody and asking those questions. You know, I love seeing those posts. Sometimes someone will ask, like, what are ways that you're finding that you can connect? Or, you know, I'm getting into weddings. What do people find successful? You know, whatever it might be, there's just a lot of helpful guidance in there. And as well as sharing what's been successful for you in there too. And then not that doesn't end there because we will also have travel trivia happy hour. So
Ooh,
tomorrow, it is officially tomorrow, Thursday. It'll be 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern, and we do travel trivia happy hour. It's always a good
such a fun
time.
time. You cannot miss it. They put on an awesome travel trivia. So you have to sign up if you
Time.
haven't signed up yet.
You do. She's right. You should because it's really fun. And best part though is you can win prizes. So you can win some Amazon gift cards. And it's prime. Ooh, it's prime time too. It's prime week, I think. So pretty
Yeah,
sure it's
that
still
is,
going
it
on.
is.
So perfect time. Yeah, so join us for that. And you'll just want to register in that same area on our sales workshop page. But I will say with the travel trivia happy hour, we do it on Zoom meeting. So our faces pop up. So you actually can like see each other and like unmute yourself and say, hey. So
Another
it's
way to network. So that's, there it
exactly.
is.
Exactly. Yeah. So see, just presenting some opportunities to you. And Rita did say get how many did she say? 4 or 5? Or maybe this could be one of them. So maybe we've got you covered for one of them. So we'll help you out with your homework there. But after this though, we are going to give it just like an hour break here. And then we're gonna be back with Glenda Beagle. And again, this is one I really am excited for this because Glenda's so cool. She's just really she brings in a lot. She'll really work with the audience. She likes to hear like things that you are experiencing and kind of help guide, like here are the real life scenarios and stuff. And I think what she's going to talk about is pretty spot on for a lot of what a lot of people experience with sales is dealing with, you know, clients and price, like when they say pricing or, you know, all that kind of stuff. We're going to get all into it. So there'll be a lot of good stuff there. So join us for that. And then again, after that, though, we're going to turn around pretty quickly and then do just a really short 30-minute webinar with another member of the Travify team, Kyle, and he's going to share of what's to come. If get
Which you
excited.
don't want to miss either. So
Don't
there's
want
a
to
lot
miss.
of things that you just don't want to miss, but that one you don't want to miss either. So
Yeah,
sure to
I
tune in.
know. I know. Tune in. We will leave you at that. And we still have so much fun ahead of us. So thank you again, Becky, for joining us here
Well,
today.
thank you for having me.
Oh,
And this was
always so much
awesome.
fun. Yeah, this is great. And thank you to Reed again. I'm gonna email her after this and be like, it went awesome. So send her your any of your questions to via email. But otherwise, thanks again, and we'll see you here shortly. Hope to see you in about an hour. See you,
Bye.
everyone.